There is a dress code among the quietly wealthy, and you have probably never been told what is on the banned list. These are families who built empires generations ago. They do not need to prove their status. And yet, certain luxury names, brands that middle-class shoppers dream of owning, are the very ones old money refuses to be seen in. Not because these labels lack craftsmanship, but because wearing them says the wrong thing. It signals striving instead of arrival. It broadcasts ambition rather than achievement. Over the next few minutes, we are breaking down 8 luxury brands that old money avoids, and what they reach for instead. By number 1, you will understand something most people never learn: wealth whispers. And once you hear it, you will never look at luxury the same way again. Number 8. Balenciaga. There was a time when Balenciaga represented precision, restraint, and quietly subversive elegance. Founded in Spain by Cristobal Balenciaga, built on architecture and innovation, it was once the brand a discerning buyer could trust to challenge fashion without insulting intelligence. Coco Chanel herself called Cristobal the only true couturier among designers. But that chapter closed. Under creative director Demna, Balenciaga embraced provocation as its core identity. Trash bag-shaped totes retailing for nearly $2,000. Destroyed sneakers that looked like they had been dragged through mud, priced at the same. Campaigns designed to spark outrage rather than admiration. In late 2022, a controversial ad campaign featuring children with bondage-themed accessories ignited a firestorm that made headlines far beyond the fashion world. The brand plummeted from the top of the list index to the 18th position within months. Sales took a hit in key markets, and the very word Balenciaga became shorthand for controversy rather than craftsmanship. For old money families, this trajectory was disqualifying. They do not dress in brands that rely on shock value to stay relevant. They do not wear labels that generate headlines for the wrong reasons. The wealthy operate by a simple code: reputation matters more than trends. When your family name has been attached to discretion for generations, you do not risk association with a brand that trends for scandal. Balenciaga became the opposite of what generational wealth values. It became loud, it became unstable, it became a conversation piece rather than a wardrobe staple. And in the world of old money, being a conversation piece is never a compliment. So what does old money wear instead? Loro Piana. The Italian house, now majority owned by LVMH, built its legacy on one obsession: the finest raw materials on the planet. Baby cashmere harvested once in a goat's lifetime, yielding only 30 grams per animal. Vicuña wool so rare it was once reserved for Inca royalty and requires special permits to harvest. No logos anywhere, no campaigns that beg for attention, just fabric so exceptional that those who understand it recognize it instantly. Loro Piana has been called the brand for billionaires who dress like they have nothing to prove. Bernard Arnault himself, the richest man in fashion, wears it regularly. And that is exactly the point. Old money does not want you to know what they paid. They want you to wonder. And if you have to ask what something costs, you probably cannot afford it anyway. Number 7. Gucci. There was a moment, not so long ago, when Gucci sat at the very center of global fashion. The double G monogram adorned handbags, belts, and sneakers that appeared on every red carpet, every influencer grid, every airport lounge from Los Angeles to Shanghai. Under Alessandro Michele, the brand became a maximalist playground. Velvet suits, clashing prints, embroidered snakes, and enough eccentricity to fill a museum. It was attention-grabbing, wildly profitable, and seemingly unstoppable. For a while. But that era is over. Gucci posted a staggering 23% revenue decline in 2024. First quarter of 2025 saw another 25% drop. Sales across Asia-Pacific collapsed. Kering's stock price fell over 60% in 2 years. The list index that once crowned Gucci, the hottest brand in the world, now barely mentions it. Analysts point to the same diagnosis: identity confusion, logo fatigue, and a brand that chased trends until nobody wanted what it was selling. The creative director departed. Stores are closing. The turnaround remains elusive. For old money, the problem started long before the financial freefall. The issue was visibility. When everyone from aspirational shoppers to fast fashion knockoff artists was dripping in GG, the double G became meaningless as a status signal. Old money does not want to wear what everyone recognizes. They do not want to look like a billboard. They want pieces that speak only to those who already know. Gucci failed that test years before the earnings reports confirmed it. The brand stopped whispering and started shouting, and generational wealth quietly walked away. They saw what was coming long before Wall Street did. What replaces it? Brunello Cucinelli. The Italian cashmere king has posted double-digit growth while competitors crumbled. Revenue surged 12% in 2024, while Kering scrambled to explain Gucci's collapse. Cucinelli charges an average of $10,000 for a cashmere coat. There are no flashy logos, no seasonal gimmicks, no desperate celebrity partnerships, just handcrafted pieces from Solomeo, Italy, where artisans work at a pace that respects tradition and human dignity. The founder himself practices what he calls humanistic capitalism. Old money gravitates to Cucinelli because it embodies what they believe about wealth itself. It should be felt, not announced. It should elevate the wearer, not the brand. Subscribe if you want more videos exposing what the luxury industry never says out loud. Number 6. Off-White. Off-White was not built for old money. It was never designed for drawing rooms in Connecticut or family estates on the Côte d'Azur. It was built for a cultural moment, a collision between streetwear and high fashion that made Virgil Abloh one of the most influential designers of his generation. The diagonal stripes, the quotation marks around common words, the industrial zip-tie aesthetic. Off-White was fresh, disruptive, and undeniably of its time. And that is precisely the problem. Old money does not buy time-stamped fashion. They buy pieces that outlast decades, not seasons. When Abloh himself predicted in 2019 that streetwear would die, he understood something about cultural cycles that his own brand could not escape. When he passed away in 2021 after a private battle with cancer, the soul of the brand went with him. By 2024, LVMH had seen enough. The luxury giant sold Off-White to Blue Star Alliance, a brand management company known for acquiring struggling labels and repositioning them for the mass market. The sale happened on what would have been Abloh's 44th birthday. Annual sales had sunk to around $227 million. The list index that once ranked Off-White as the hottest brand on the planet had long since stopped mentioning it. For the quietly wealthy, streetwear itself is suspect. It is trend-forward by design. It ages poorly. It screams cultural relevance rather than generational stability. Old money does not want their children asking why a hoodie from 2018 cost $900 and now looks dated. They want their children to inherit pieces that still matter in 30 years. Streetwear, by definition, cannot deliver that promise. What do they wear instead? Private White VC, the Manchester-based outerwear specialist that produces everything in a single British factory using techniques unchanged for decades. Or bespoke Savile Row tailoring, where a coat takes weeks to construct and will last a lifetime with proper care. These choices are invisible to the trend cycle. They do not photograph well on Instagram. They are not meant to. They are meant to endure, to serve quietly, and to be passed down. Number 5. Versace. If there is a brand that represents everything old money avoids, it is Versace. Gold Medusa heads, Baroque prints, silk shirts that scream from across the room. Versace was designed for people who want to be noticed. And the quietly wealthy have no interest in being noticed. They have spent generations learning how to disappear in plain sight while still commanding respect. Versace peaked as a cultural phenomenon in the 90s. when Gianni Versace dressed supermodels and celebrities in designs that were unapologetically loud. The safety pin dress on Elizabeth Hurley, the jungle print on Jennifer Lopez. These were moments designed for flashbulbs. After Gianni's tragic death in 1997, the brand survived under his sister Donatella, but the identity remained the same: excess as aesthetic. In 2018, Capri Holdings acquired Versace for over $2 billion, with plans to expand globally. That bet has not paid off. In 2025, Prada acquired Versace for roughly $1.4 billion, a loss of over $700 million. Revenue had declined, margins had turned negative, and the mid-market shoppers who once drove Versace sales had moved on to quieter options. Part of the problem was a misguided pivot toward quiet luxury. Versace tried to tone down its signature maximalism, but that alienated its core customer without attracting the wealthy buyers who had never been interested in the first place. As Capri's CEO admitted publicly, the brand went too far, too fast, and customers did not recognize what was left. They removed too many signature elements and lost the plot entirely. Old money never considered Versace in the first place. The aesthetic clashes with every principle of restrained wealth. Gold chains and bold prints do not whisper success. They announce it desperately. And for families who have had wealth for generations, announcing anything is vulgar. What do they wear instead? Ralph Lauren Purple Label. It offers classic American aristocratic style with impeccable tailoring and fabrics sourced from the finest Italian mills. No Baroque excess, no gold medusas, no risk of looking like you are trying too hard. Just navy blazers, cashmere coats, and the kind of understated elegance that looks the same whether you are in Greenwich or Gstaad. It is the opposite of Versace in every way that matters to old money. Number 4. Dolce & Gabbana. Dolce & Gabbana built an empire on Sicilian glamour, ornate embroidery, and a sensibility that celebrated the feminine form with operatic intensity. For decades, the brand dressed celebrities and socialites in designs that evoked old-world opulence. But somewhere along the way, Dolce & Gabbana became synonymous with something else entirely: controversy and damaged trust. The list of scandals is long and damaging. A 2018 marketing campaign in China depicted a model struggling to eat Italian food with chopsticks, while a patronizing voiceover mocked her efforts. The videos were deemed racist and culturally insensitive by millions. Screenshots emerged of co-founder Stefano Gabbana allegedly calling China derogatory names in private messages. The backlash was immediate and lasting. The brand was pulled from Chinese e-commerce platforms, including Alibaba and JD. Celebrities terminated contracts. A planned Shanghai runway show was canceled hours before it was set to begin. According to industry reports, the brand's Asia-Pacific market share dropped from 25% to 22% within months. Brand health scores plummeted from +3 to -11. Their products remained unsearchable on Chinese retail sites for years afterward, but China was not the only issue. Over the years, Dolce & Gabbana faced criticism for comments about gay parenting, racially insensitive designs featuring colonial imagery, and a pattern of inflammatory social media behavior from Gabbana himself. Each incident eroded trust. Each apology felt performative rather than sincere. The brand's reputation, once built on craftsmanship, became defined by conflict and poor judgment. Old money values continuity above almost everything else. They choose brands that will not embarrass them at a charity gala or create awkward conversations at a board meeting. Dolce & Gabbana failed that test repeatedly. The risk of association became too high. Why wear a label that might invite questions about your judgment when quieter, more dignified options exist? What do they wear instead? Chiton or Cesare Attolini. Both are Neapolitan tailoring houses with reputations built entirely on construction, not spectacle. Chiton suits cost upward of $7,000, and take over 25 hours of handwork to complete. There are no headlines, no scandals, no social media feuds. Just Italian tailoring at its absolute finest, made by artisans who have dedicated their lives to the craft. For old money, that is exactly enough. Number 3. Givenchy logo era. Pieces Givenchy is a complicated case. The house itself carries legitimate heritage that old money respects. Hubert de Givenchy dressed Audrey Hepburn for decades. He created the little black dress in Breakfast at Tiffany's that defined a generation. He dressed Jackie Kennedy for official state visits. For decades, Givenchy represented the pinnacle of Parisian elegance and discretion. But under certain creative directions, particularly the logo-heavy phases that emerged in recent years, the brand lost its way. The 4G emblem became the centerpiece of accessories and ready-to-wear. Hoodies, sneakers, and bags, plastered with the interlocking logo, flooded the market and appeared on every fashion influencer. This was not the Givenchy that Jackie Kennedy wore. This was Givenchy chasing the streetwear customer, the logo-obsessed shopper, the consumer who wanted to display affiliation rather than demonstrate taste. Old money noticed. They did not stop respecting the archives. They stopped buying the current collections. There is a distinction in generational wealth between heritage and hype, and logo phases feel like hype. When a brand pivots to visible branding, it signals that the product cannot stand on its own merits. It needs the logo to communicate value. For old money, that admission is disqualifying. They want pieces that whisper provenance, not scream it. The issue with logo eras is impermanence. What feels relevant today becomes dated tomorrow. A logo-heavy Givenchy hoodie from 2018 already looks like a time capsule from another era. Old money buys for 30-year wardrobes, not 3-year trend cycles. They want visual continuity across decades, not signifiers that mark exactly when something was purchased. What do they wear instead? Hermès ready-to-wear. Specifically, pieces without visible branding anywhere. Hermès has mastered the art of invisible luxury better than anyone. Their cashmere sweaters, silk scarves, and tailored jackets carry no logos on the exterior whatsoever. The quality is apparent only to those who understand construction and fabric. That is the language old money speaks fluently. Number 2. Louis Vuitton monogram. Louis Vuitton is one of the most valuable luxury brands on the planet, worth billions and recognized in every corner of the globe. The monogram canvas, with its interlocking LV and floral quatrefoils, has been recognized worldwide for over a century. It is also one of the most counterfeited designs in fashion history, and that is precisely the problem for old money. When a pattern becomes so ubiquitous that knockoffs appear on street corners in every major city from New York to Bangkok, the signal it sends changes fundamentally. The Louis Vuitton monogram no longer says wealth to discerning eyes. It says aspiration. It says someone wanted to look wealthy. For old money, that distinction matters enormously. They do not carry bags that announce their price point to strangers. They do not wear patterns that invite speculation about authenticity. They avoid anything that makes strangers calculate their net worth or wonder if the piece is genuine. Louis Vuitton itself remains a powerhouse. It drives billions in revenue for LVMH annually. Its collaborations with artists and designers generate constant media attention and long wait lists. But that visibility is exactly what disqualifies it for the quietly wealthy. Old money does not want media attention. They do not want to be spotted carrying the same bag that appeared in an influencer's sponsored post yesterday. They want pieces that only insiders recognize. The monogram has become a victim of its own success. It is too famous, too recognizable, too everywhere. And in the calculus of generational wealth, ubiquity is the enemy of exclusivity. When everyone can have it, or at least appear to have it, nobody truly special wants it anymore. What do they carry instead? Delvaux, the Belgian leather house that predates Louis Vuitton by a generation and remains virtually unknown outside connoisseur circles. Or Valextra, the Milanese brand known for architectural precision and deliberate understatement. Or Hermes bags in solid leathers with no visible branding whatsoever. These options cost as much or more than Louis Vuitton. But they carry no monogram, no instant recognition, no risk of being mistaken for something purchased at a flea market or from a street vendor. For old money, that discretion is worth every dollar. Number 1. Any brand. Where the logo is the product. If there is a single principle that governs how old money dresses, it is this: visibility signals insecurity. When a logo becomes the design, when the branding is the point, when recognition is the goal, the piece fails before it leaves the store. This applies across every category. Belts with oversized buckles spelling out brand names. Sneakers covered in monograms from toe to heel. Handbags where the pattern exists solely to broadcast the maker to everyone within eyeshot. T-shirts that function as walking advertisements. Old money rejects all of it. Not because these pieces lack quality. Some are beautifully made with excellent materials. But because wearing them communicates the wrong message entirely. It says the wearer needs validation from strangers. It says they want passers-by to know what they can afford. It says they are still proving something to the world. Generational wealth has nothing left to prove. These families made their money decades or centuries ago. Their wardrobes are not about signaling arrival, because they arrived long ago. They are about embodying permanence. The clothes they choose reflect that philosophy. Understated, timeless, invisible to anyone who does not already belong to their world. What do they wear instead? Bespoke tailoring from Savile Row houses like Huntsman or Anderson and Shepherd, where each suit is cut specifically for the client's body and kept on file for decades. Heritage shoemakers like John Lobb, where a single pair takes weeks to construct and molds to the owner's feet over years of wear. Generational pieces passed down from grandparents. Items with no visible label, but with stories attached and memories embedded. Old money treats clothing like heirlooms, not trends. They buy once, buy well, and expect their grandchildren to inherit the result. The irony is that true luxury, the kind old money seeks, often looks like nothing special at all to untrained eyes. A plain navy blazer with perfect construction. A white shirt in cotton so fine it glows. A watch without diamonds or complications, worn until the leather strap softens with age. These pieces do not photograph well. They do not generate social media engagement. They were never meant to. They were meant to endure, to serve quietly, and to whisper rather than shout. And that is the lesson embedded in this entire list. The brands old money avoids are not bad brands. Many are beautifully crafted and historically significant. But they have made a choice, consciously or not, to pursue visibility over discretion. They have prioritized recognition over restraint. And in doing so, they have disqualified themselves from the wardrobes of people who measure wealth not by what others see, but by what they themselves know to be true. Because in the end, the loudest person in the room is rarely the richest. And the people who truly have it all never feel the need to prove it.